Hey, have you ever wondered how really fundamental religious beliefs get taught to kids? Well, today, we're going to find out. We're going to explore the core concepts of Islam, but we're going to do it all through the eyes of a fifth-grade textbook.
So, just to be super clear, every single concept we talk about today comes directly from this grade 5 Islamic studies textbook. It's actually a pretty fascinating window into how these huge foundational ideas are introduced to young minds in a really simple, structured way.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at how the textbook actually teaches this stuff. Then, we're going to dive deep into the absolute core belief, which is called Tawheed. From there, we'll see how prophets fit into the picture. And finally, we'll look at what the book teaches about life after death.
So the first thing that really jumps out at you is that this book doesn't just throw a bunch of facts on the page. It actually frames the entire belief system as a journey. A logical path with a clear start, a middle, and an end.
Yeah, the way it's taught is super deliberate. Each idea builds right on top of the last one, kind of like Legos, creating this solid framework. And it all begins with one single foundational idea that holds everything else up. And that foundation is a concept called Tawheed. The textbook makes it crystal clear. This is the single most important belief in Islam. It's the starting point for literally everything else.
So what exactly is Tawheed? Well, the book defines it really simply. It's the belief in the absolute oneness of God, or Allah. He's presented as the one and only creator, who has power over everything, and is ultimately way beyond our human understanding.
Now, to really get a grip on this idea, the book introduces its complete opposite, something called shirk. And this is defined as associating partners with God in any way, shape, or form. According to the text, this is the one sin that will never be forgiven, which makes that belief in pure oneness absolutely central.
Okay, and this is where the textbook uses a really powerful metaphor. It describes Tawheed as more than just a belief. It calls it the key to paradise. And this simple image, this idea of a key, becomes the central way of explaining the whole system of faith.
And the book builds on this metaphor so well. It explains that a key is totally useless without its teeth, right? Well, the teeth of this key, the key of Tawheed, are the 5 pillars of Islam: the testimony of faith, prayer, charity, fasting, and the pilgrimage. It's a really elegant way to connect this abstract belief to actual concrete actions.
So, if Tawheed is the core message, how is that message actually delivered to people? The textbook explains that this is where prophets come in. They serve as the link, the messengers between God and humanity.
The textbook points out that certain prophets received divine books. It lists the Torah, which you might know as the Torah, revealed to Musa or Moses, the Zabur or Psalms, given to Dawood or David, and the Injil, the Gospels, given to Isa or Jesus.
In total, the Quran mentions 25 prophets by name. And according to the textbook, this line of prophethood isn't random. It has a very specific beginning, starting with Adam as the very first prophet and ending with Muhammad, who is described as the final prophet and messenger, basically sealing that line of prophethood for good.
And that brings us to the final stage of the journey outlined in the textbook, the ultimate destination. What happens after this life is over?
So, the book breaks our existence down into 3 distinct stages. First, there's the temporary life we're all living right now on Earth. Second, there's an in-between stage, which is called Barzakh. And third, there's the eternal life, which starts after the Day of Judgment. The textbook frames our life right now in a very particular way. It's presented as short, it's temporary, it's basically a test. The real focus, it teaches, should be on preparing for the eternal life that's coming, which is described as being way more important.
A quote from the text just captures this final idea perfectly. It really emphasizes that everything in this world is temporary, and it's all going to fade away. It's a powerful way to conclude the journey, with this ultimate concept of God's permanence.
So when you look back at how this textbook presents faith, as the super clear journey with a map and a key, it leaves us with a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? What does this highly structured metaphorical approach tell us about the goals of this kind of education? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.